This is KATU News, the spirit of the Northwest.
What if you were injured or got sick on the job and your doctor said it was all in your head? That's the way some Oregon teachers say they're being treated. KATU's Eric Mason has spent the past 2 months investigating the relationship of the State Accident Insurance Fund, or SAIF, and the doctors paid to examine those workers. And tonight he brings us his two exclusive. What'd you find, Eric?
Well, Steve, we've all heard of the workers who've been faking their injuries or their illnesses to get off of work. In fact, the State Accident Insurance Fund says 17% of workers have no valid claim when they claim that they're injured or sick. But what about those who say they are sick and being treated like a criminal? When Teresa Westmoreland has a doctor's appointment these days, she carries a box with her. It's full of medical reports and medical bills, most of which she can't pay.
This has been the most incredibly awful experience of my life. I never thought that I could be treated so poorly, treated like a criminal, like I'm trying to get something from someone. I'm checking in.
Her own personal physician, Dr. Michael Stone of Ashland, believes it was toxic levels of mold that made Westmoreland ill. So sick, she's been off work for the past year now. Stone suspects mold from a leaking roof and air ducts at this middle school in Talent ended up in Westmoreland's lungs and caused a long list of debilitating symptoms, including the loss of memory and muscle coordination. Tasks as simple as touching her own nose have become a major challenge.
She came to us because she couldn't do her profession. She wants to do her profession. There's nothing about this that she wants. The only thing she gets from this is significant frustration and being labeled a lot of things.
The very state agency that's supposed to be helping her, the State Accident Insurance Fund, SAIF, is one of those doubting her claims. Doctors hired by SAIF say it's all in her head.
I'm not admitting anything.
The new head of SAIF in front of lawmakers recently did not want to talk about the specifics of individual claims, citing patient confidentiality.
We pay claims promptly and that we treat injured workers ethically and responsibly.
Promises aside, real-life cases of sick and injured workers can be quite different. Those workers say by the time that the SAIF Corporation decides to pay or not to pay, as the case may be, they can be heavily in debt, discredited professionally, and sicker than when they started. When Westmoreland was first hired as a health teacher in 1995 by the Phoenix Talent School District, she came with years of experience, a master's degree, and as time went on, her hard work brought awards and grants.
My life was incredible before all this happened.
But starting about 2 years ago, records confirm this, she began feeling ill after spending time in her classroom. She told her doctor at the time she had difficulty thinking.
I make a lot of mistakes. Many are very embarrassing to me. I haven't been able to read a novel, for example. Getting this disease is a lot like aging quickly. So 20 years of aging within a day.
While her own doctor determined she had a severe reaction to the mold at Talent Middle School, SAIF officials were denying her claims and her sizable medical bills were going unpaid. When she appealed, SAIF officials asked for a medical opinion from a doctor of their own choosing. Westmoreland was asked to take what's known as an independent medical exam, an in-depth clinical study paid for by SAIF to determine if a worker is really sick, if it happened on the job, and if SAIF should pay. The exams were conducted at Oregon Health Sciences University in Portland. The doctor was Emil Bardana, a widely published allergist and an expert in mold-related diseases. Citing patient confidentiality, Bardana has declined to speak to us. What concerned Westmoreland before she went was what she found on the internet, that the doctor that was about to examine her may not be on her side. In short, Bardana had written papers to the effect that indoor mold was not the threat that some were making it out to be.
And I said, I'm sorry. I want another doctor who's qualified to do this exam. And they said no, that this was the doctor I had to go to or my claim would be denied.
This was the report that Bardana issued. Among his findings, that there was no logical explanation for the symptoms, that her inability to touch her nose was somewhat bizarre, and finally, she was being led astray by her own doctors. An independent psychological evaluation, also ordered by SAIF, suggested that Westmoreland suffered a conversion disorder. In short, she was subconsciously making herself ill.
The first time I heard that, I laughed. And I think, at that point and at this time, I still think that it's the biggest bunch of hogwash that I have ever heard.
Friends and colleagues have a hard time believing it's all in Westmoreland's head.
She's always been the hardest working person that I've ever worked with.
A person of just amazing integrity. She puts more into the community and into her job. She volunteers a lot of hours. I've never found her to be a dishonest person.
Why would Westmoreland fake her illness? Experts working for SAIF would not speculate on that question. But other published medical experts, specialists in mold, say Westmoreland's disorders were real and present. And one expert from the University of Southern California Medical School, Kay Kilburn, said Bordana was naive in dismissing Westmoreland's complaints. And his analysis was, in his words, shallow. After more than a year of battling the system and, by her account, nearly $100,000 in debt, this was Westmoreland's lowest moment this past September.
You have to understand that that means I was a leader, an independent, strong woman. SAIF Corporation has made me feel like I'm not important. My life is meaningless.
Westmoreland told her story to senators who were looking at the way SAIF treats claimants.
The fact that I was actually challenging them with the workers' comp claim made me the scum of the earth.
Westmoreland is not alone.
I feel like I've been treated like a crook, and all I want is my health back.
Now, this is the same state agency that was accused of deleting and destroying public records. A Marion County judge admonished them not to do that anymore. Tomorrow night, we found evidence of cutting and pasting of personal medical records in this particular case. Steve?
Eric Mason, thank you very much. Look forward to part 2. And tomorrow night, we found evidence of cutting and pasting, as he mentioned. This is the same state agency accused of shredding documents and deleting files. A Marion County judge ordered them to stop that practice.
This is KATU News, the spirit of the Northwest.
Some teachers in Oregon who say they got sick or were injured on the job believe they're not getting a fair shake from SAIF, the State Accident Insurance Fund.
SAIF says up to 17% of claims don't deserve workers' comp benefits. But what about those who are deserving and say they are being discredited?
In this 2 exclusive tonight, Eric Mason is more on those who say they're sick and being treated like a criminal.
I was not an 8-to-3 teacher. I was dedicated, hardworking.
Teresa Westmoreland told lawmakers recently her life will never be the same. She claims, and her personal doctor agrees, mold from ductwork gave her a debilitating condition that made it nearly impossible to teach.
SAIF Corporation has made me feel like I'm not important. My life is meaningless.
Westmoreland's claims have been denied by SAIF, but so have others who worked at Talent Middle School in Southern Oregon.
I feel like I've been treated like a crook, and all I want is my health back.
Carrie Baker and Lisa Wildman also worked at Talent Middle School. They too had health complaints along with at least a half a dozen others. They, like Westmoreland, were also ordered by the State Accident Insurance Fund to go through an independent medical exam, an IME, to determine if their claims were legit. The exams were not cheap either.
We received a bill of $5,579.27.
Then something happened that surprised the teachers even more. They were sent bills and ordered to pay. The most shocking part of the bill is the fact they were sent the bills in order to pay for the very reports that discredited them.
I often think this has just got to be a bad dream.
The bills say, please make payment in full today.
If a bill has been sent to an injured worker, that simply would have been a mistake.
As it turns out, they did not owe the money. The head of SAIF called it a billing error, but the women wonder why all 3 of them got the bill, not just once, but on repeated occasions. They call it intimidation. But there was more to be found in their own medical records, say the women. Coincidences, they say, prove a lack of objectivity by the doctors paid by SAIF. Among them, entire paragraphs that seem to be lifted from one person's report and put in another. On page 31 of Baker's report, there's a 3-sentence paragraph that reads word for word like the one in Westmoreland's. It includes a final sentence that is grammatically incorrect just like the other. It reads, she apparently was also driving in a vehicle with coworkers, had onset of symptoms.
It's a joke. They're not independent.
Also, the women say there were outright falsehoods in their report. For example, in the report of Carrie Baker, mention of a growth on her breast that actually occurred to a fellow colleague who'd also been examined in connection to this case. Baker said she had no such growth. Also, the suggestion that Baker had cut her use of alcohol, when in fact she'd never had the habit to begin with.
The insurance company is not your friend.
Attorney Dan Gaddy has faced off in the courtroom many times against SAIF and other insurance companies, and while he has no direct knowledge of this particular case, he says he's witnessed a pattern of behavior by the insurer.
They're trying to save money no matter which way they can, and so therefore they use these doctors who will say what they want them to say.
Gaddy says insurance companies like SAIF use intimidation tactics to make claimants give up and stop fighting. The women we talk with say the intimidation didn't stop there, that their own school district attempted to discredit them, which in turn affected what parents thought of them.
Well, I don't want my kid in that whack jobs classroom. How do I get them out of there? And so in the community, there's all these rumors flying that have ruined our reputation.
We wanted to find answers to our own questions about the district's role in the women's cases. K2 News did attempt to videotape at the school in question, but district officials objected to that. And after they'd found we'd visited the school with our camera after classes had ended for the day.
I'm with K2. I'm going to roll on this. No, you're not. Why not? Because the cops are coming. You're going to leave the damn camera off. You're on my property.
They blocked our news vehicle in and attempted to have us arrested while we stood in the parking lot.
Turn the camera off. I'm sorry, especially if you're going to assault me here, I'm going to leave it on.
Before the police arrived, you can hear the superintendent's threats, and then he actually pushes the photographer.
I'm going to file a complaint and get criminal complaint against you. Against me? For doing what? I took the camera on my face. Do you understand that? Can I ask you who you are?
At the time, Superintendent Ben Bergreen would not identify himself or give his position with the school district. It's important to note that other members of the public had passed freely through the parking lot and through the school doors during and after our visit. Records show there were mold spores in the classrooms in question, and while they were relatively low at the time of testing, it's important to note the district had cleaned the rooms and taken down ceiling tiles before the testing. While the investigation into the health complaints continue, the teachers' bills go unpaid.
Our credit cards are maxed. I mean, I can't even go to the store and buy a bag of groceries.
Lawmakers are trying to determine just how fair the workers' comp system is to sick and injured workers. They do have their suspicions.
I mean, there are starve-out tactics that are being used, and those are tactics that, delay claims, deny claims, so that these people can't even get food on their table and pay their bills, and so they're sort of forced to sign these agreements.
State Senator Vicki Walker will be holding hearings next week. She's interested in the results of our investigation. SAIF officials and a doctor involved in this particular case declined to comment, citing patient confidentiality. They say they would like to tell their side of the story, but due to patient confidentiality, they can't. Steve, Deb?
All right. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.